Welcome everybody to our June 10th edition of So What? So What is brought to you in part by Fox Chapel Publishing, Banyan Boutiques, and QuiltWoman.com. I'm Linda Hahn, and Deb Stanley is in that video. We'll highlight her shortly. We have our guest today, Cheryl Lynch, and we're going to talk to her in a couple minutes. We just want to ask you, please do not record or video any portion of this program. We will post it on YouTube. So we figured out how to do that. And you can watch it afterwards or refer your friends. We're still all learning Zoom. We're doing much better, but we still are learning. If you would like to communicate with myself, Deb, or our guest, please use the chat feature, and you can find that at the bottom of your screen where it says chat, and we'll, if whoever it's intended for doesn't see it, we'll make sure that they get it during the presentation so all your questions are answered. We will do some door prizes later on in the broadcast, and we will we'll spotlight your video randomly, and we're going to ask to see what's in your glass. And if it's something that we will drink, you will get a ding dong. If it's something that we won't drink, okay, you'll still get a prize, but we just want to let you know if we're going to drink it or not. So if you ever host us anywhere, you know what to serve us or not. We do have a Facebook page where we're going to post the information to find our speakers and stuff after the broadcast, so you can visit that. You can share our meeting number with friends and tell them to come and visit with us. So I know you're noticing my hair. Last week I got a haircut, $12 haircut at one of those places. And
now that your hair's cut, what color is it going to be?
I didn't get my box from the Box of the Month Club, so we'll see what color comes. So it will be
What?
Yeah. Don't you do that? That's not how you color your hair? I have a Box of the Month Club, and I can change my color.
Do they decide or do you decide?
Well, I tell them the range. So that's why my hair is always a different color. This is the closest it's ever been to natural. So, yeah. So, but anyway, today, I am drinking, what I was drinking last week, a pitcher of Malibu rum with a dash of pineapple juice and cranberry juice, so in case my husband walks in, it's tinted. I'm not dumb. Deb, what's in your glass? Wait, it didn't spotlight.
Stewart's root beer. Stewart's root beer.
All right, I'm going to introduce Cheryl. I hope you have something in your glass.
I do, but you're not going to like it. This is my new cup. Keeps everything cold.
Yeah, but what's in it?
Diet orange soda. I can't wait for your beeps. I love them.
You got it. Whoa, you got a double. Right. Cheryl.
But it's cold.
Okay. Cheryl is a personal friend of mine and Deb's, and we met many years ago, right? Quite a few Mid-Appalachian quilters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cheryl has developed a pretty cool new technique And I actually did it.
Ooh.
So
Beautiful.
Deb
Closer.
did one.
There you go.
Oh, wait, I
Flamingo.
spotlight me. That's mine.
Oh,
I did a flamingo.
nice.
And then Deb did,
Hipster cat.
so Cheryl's going to talk to us about this technique. It's called mini mosaics. Muted Deb. And spotlighted Cheryl.
Spotlighted.
So mini mosaics. Tell us about that, because I think it's pretty cool.
So my inspiration was these mosaics in Israel. I went on a trip to Israel with my synagogue in 2012, and someone on one of the quilting lists I was on told me that I had to go to the synagogue because it was covered in mosaics. So you know that show Amazing Race?
Yes.
It was we kind of had, my husband and I had that kind of experience because most of the signs in Israel are either in Hebrew or Arabic. So they told us, just get on this train and it'll take you there. So we got on the train and we're sitting there waiting because we're not in the right town. And a guy comes through sweeping the floor and he shoos us off the train. So we were at the end of the line. We didn't know where to go. So there were a couple of Jewish army women who spoke a little bit of English. You know, when they tell you that everyone speaks English everywhere, it's not true. So they pointed us in the right direction and we get off and there are cab drivers there. And I say to the cab driver, do you know where the synagogue is? Yeah. Get in. So he drives around and around and around and he goes, okay, we're here, get out. And my husband goes, no, we are not there. Okay, so he drives around. So to make a long story short, he did this several times. And finally we called our tour guide and said, you need to speak to him. And he ended up dropping us off on the edge of this little suburban street. And when we walked down it, the synagogue was down there. And we went inside and there was a lovely rabbi there who had moved to Israel from Tunisia. And his goal was to rebuild the synagogue with the mosaics that they had in Tunisia. And he didn't speak English either, but that's right. So every wall, ceiling, stairwell was covered in mosaics. Going up the steps, there were maps of the concentration camps. In their recreation room, there was a map of the town, not a map, a mosaic of the town. And then the other mosaics all around were from the Old Testament. And then when you went up in the women's gallery, because it was a synagogue where the women worshiped separate from the men, and you looked down over the pulpit, there was a river that ran around the pulpit made of mosaics with fish and bird and cattails. So it was lovely. So I wanted to make mosaics, but I'm a klutz. So I didn't want to have to crack glass and tiles and everything because I would cut myself, I'd get it in my eye. So my goal was to figure out how to make it out of fabric. And that's how I started. So my first one was one that was actually on the wall there. And so this is a raven, and it's made of little squares of batik fabrics. And they're put onto a sticky stabilizer, AKA steam machine. And you just place them down. So they're not sewed together. They're placed on the stabilizer and then fused down and then covered with netting and then quilted in place. So that was my first one. And you can see the squares are all different color sizes because I wanted them to be 3/8, but I used that little 3/8 inch line on my ruler. So it wasn't very accurate. At some point, a light bulb went on in my head. And I said, now there are cutting guides for strips.
I got one too.
Yeah. So I have another tool made out of plexiglass. So I just designed one that had the slits 3/8 inches apart. So you layer it on the fabric, cut, turn it, cut, and then you end up with oodles of squares. So people think I have them lovely displayed. I just have them in Ziploc baggies all over.
Cheryl,
Yeah,
when I did mine,
yeah.
Roxanne actually stole my original one. I don't know if you can see this. I can't see my video.
Yes, those are lovely.
I use these.
Or floss boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would be good. These are good for traveling. So I take my pattern. So my pattern's underneath, and it's always a line drawing. And I put the sticky stabilizer on top. And then
What's the white thing? What's the white thing?
this is foam core. So I put 2 pieces of foam core together from the dollar store, because I use thumbtacks and I don't want them to go through to the back. So you could also use corrugated cardboard. You could use whatever you want. This just seems to be the easiest. And then I use tweezers. I love these tweezers. I have them made overseas. They're very sharp. They're great for paper piecing or picking a thread out of your machine. They're also good for picking up the little pieces of batik and I don't get to do this backwards, and placing them on the sticky stabilizer. So you fill it all in, and after you fill it all in, wait, where am I? I have my demos. You steam it, because it's steam-a-seam, and you end up with a piece like this. So you see how the steam-a-seam holds it all together? So it looks like that. And then you have 2 choices. So this is kind of like another iteration. You can turn it into a quilt. This is my most popular one at the moment. So you could turn it into a quilt, or you can take it and put it on a piece of canvas. So there's no sewing. So this one I did with Linda's first fabric line. With that,
Ooh, that is island vibes.
isn't that cool? So
Cool.
those are the different ways. So that's where I am. I have 20 some odd different patterns. I have big ones, I have little ones. Behind me, can you see that quilt behind me? That one is 3 feet by 4 feet, and that's based on a photo I took in France. And that still is made of the little pieces. Like I don't, because I'm making a big one, I don't use big pieces. I use little pieces and I get more detail. And that's gonna be one of my new patterns coming out.
Wow. Wow. Now, do you use a design program for this, or?
I don't know how to use any of those design programs. So what I basically do is I draw it freehand. I erase, I draw, I erase, I draw. And then I make it out of the little squares, and I adjust the design to fit, no, I adjust the design so it fits the squares. Does that make, I don't know if that makes sense. So, I wouldn't want, oh, that's not a good one. It's hard to explain, but anyway, so that's how I do it. And then after I work out my mosaic, I have a graphic designer who turns them into patterns, which look like this. So when you buy either a pattern or a kit, you get the drawing, you get the instructions, how to do it, you get a color photo, you get the piece of netting that goes on top of it, and if you buy a kit, you get the fabric that goes along with it. So
You have a choice between a fabric kit and just a kit with the pattern and the.
right, because some people have a lot of batiks. I use batiks because they're tightly woven, and it doesn't matter what side you use. So it gives you a little variety. And I like to use, if you could see the heart, I like to use a variety of batiks. Like if I use the same batik, like what's the point? It would be boring.
Yeah.
So I like to have different colors in it, different scale, different values, and that's what makes it so fun.
Cool. You have a question. Kelly would like to know, for the netting, are you talking tulle?
Yes, I use white matte tulle. And I use white matte tulle on everything. I know there's at least one person I know out there who tells you to audition different colors of tulle, but I make so many, and I have so many different patterns, and I want to include it in the kit because I don't want people to have to run out to the store to get a piece of tool that's, 10 by 13. So I just included it in the kit.
And Stevie, apparently, are you doing a class or something Friday evening?
She is. So I've been doing, with this pandemic, I have learned Zoom also. Well, learned it as best as I can. And I've been doing workshops. So Friday, I designed an exclusive workshop, and this is what we're doing.
Oh,
So this I call this one Design Your Own Mosaic. So there are 3
that's
parts to it,
cool.
and you can use 1 part, 2 part, 3 parts, and put it together however you want. So it's like a sip and stitch on Friday night. So
Ah.
everyone buys the kit and pays the fee, and the kit should be in everybody's hand by now or tomorrow.
Well, that would go in my house, you know that,
I'll ship it to you.
just in case. Just in case.
You can
Steve,
make
I would like to know, do you leave a space like a grout line?
I do. I leave a space between I call them chiclets, and I would have called it chiclet quilting if I didn't think a gum company would have come after me. And I leave a little space between them, and so if it's a quilted one, that's where I quilt, in the grout line.
So
So
what kind of thread you using to quilt?
I use invisible thread, and I use it because you can't see it. And also, so that makes it so you can travel when you're quilting. So my goal is to quilt in one fell swoop, to start one place, finish another, and then only have 2 threads to tie off.
So Daria's taking your class too. You'll have a couple of so whatters in
Hey,
there.
Daria. So, and what I do is, like when I have this little piece, if I'm making a quilt, so we talked about the spaces in between, I mount it on a piece of grout fabric, what I call grout fabric, so that the fabric shows through the spaces.
Cool. Now, I know something. I know something. I don't know if you have anything there, that you have a new fabric collection, your first.
I do. So I was chatting with a colleague of mine, one who's worked in quilt shops and works for fabric companies and stuff. And we were just brainstorming one day. And, cutting these batiks into little squares isn't for everybody. A lot of people love it because it's very like puzzle-like, and you can do it watching TV or when you're together with your friends or babysitting or whatever. But people love the mosaic look, but they don't want to cut it into pieces. So the light bulb went on about having a fabric that looks like mosaics. So I happen to have some here. So I put together a proposal, and I approached Hoffman, and at the suggestion of my friend, and this is what the fabric looks like. So it actually looks like mosaic fabric.
Wow.
So now you can cut that up and piece it, or you can cut it up and applique to get a quilt like that. So the way I'm designing the pattern for that quilt is it will have a pieced background and then applique on top of it.
Now,
So
when is your fabric? When will that be out?
it'll be in the stores September, October. So if you have a favorite quilt shop, call them and tell them that you want it. Hoffman.
What's the name of your collection?
Mosaic Masterpiece. And apparently the sales reps are visiting the shops now and taking orders.
Wow.
So that's a good thing. I think they're doing it virtually some places, but maybe not every place.
Hey, Daria would like to know, do you use invisible thread in the bobbin as well?
I don't. I use some kind of bobbin thread, so some kind of very lightweight thread. I like Deco Bob by Wonderfil, or what's the superior one?
Bottom line.
Bottom line. And I use a light gray, and I never change my bobbin thread. And the invisible thread, honestly, to be very honest, I use them all. And if your machine is having a bad day and isn't working, if the thread keeps breaking, just turn it off and come back tomorrow. Because if it doesn't like one, chances are it's not going to like any of them.
Go have a glass of wine. It'll look better after a couple of glasses of wine.
That's your solution to everything. I love it.
It is. Yeah. And it works.
It does.
Stevie would like to know, do you always use batiks?
Do I always use what?
Batiks. You're like Siri. Is it me, girls? And I'm goofing on Cheryl.
Oh.
Siri don't understand me. It's my accent.
New Jersey accent.
Yeah. That I didn't realize that I had until I
Oh,
watched.
come on. You didn't know you have a New Jersey accent?
No, I thought I was like
petite.
normal.
I got it.
You have a Staten Island accent.
Yes. Well, let me qualify that. I do always use batiks. I try to use batiks. When I first started making these, you couldn't find a white batik, a white with, colors on it. But you can find them now. You can find them almost every company. Here are all my white batiks with all the different colors. So in the beginning, I was doing a lighthouse and I wanted a white batik, but I couldn't find it. So I took quilting cotton and I starched it. So by starching it, it kept it from shredding. So it's just as a little extra work.
Now this is my next project when I'm on the road. I have the sea turtle. I think you gave this to me at the market.
I love them all. I have 20 some odd different patterns, maybe close to 30 now. So, but I did determine that my favorite part is designing because I'm supposed to be writing the patterns for my fabric line. And I'm going to visit a shop in Ohio where they're going to have like a retreat and they want a new project. So, I dropped the pattern writing like a hot potato and started designing big projects for them. So that's the best part, don't you think, Linda?
Oh, well, Debbie's been sort of taking over the pattern writing.
Oh, Debbie, will you write my patterns?
Will I write your patterns? I can barely keep up with Linda.
Yeah. Sometimes she wakes up in the morning and there's like a gazillion emails from 4 o'clock in the morning. So if somebody wants to take a workshop with you, where do they go? How do they find you?
So at this point, you'd have to be following me on social media or be a subscriber to my newsletter because I just can't keep up with my website. So I have a Facebook group, Cheryl Lynch Quilts Group, I think it's called. And then if you email me, when I email you back, it's got a link to sign up for my newsletter.
And we'll post that on So What.
Oh, good. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll post it on there. Pat would like to know, do you have to take the class to get the pattern?
This pattern? This one?
Which one, Pat? What you got?
So the deal with this is an exclusive.
Anyone,
Oh,
anyone.
No, you can buy any of the patterns. I have an Etsy shop. And the Etsy shop is, if you do Cheryl Lynch Quilts, it'll take you to my Etsy shop. And every pattern or the cutting guide comes with the instruction booklet. And it tells you from making your work surface to putting hanging triangles on it, how to finish them. And Linda, don't you think the instructions are pretty good?
I love the instructions.
Yeah, I have good feedback.
I'm jealous.
Instructions. So you can go there to buy.
Instructions are very clear. They're very clear.
Yeah.
Very clear.
I keep, over time.
But I still think it'd be fun to take a class because it takes time.
Yes. Well, this one is geared.
It takes a long time to do all the things, and it'd be more fun to have a class. So
yeah. So my class on Friday nights, I do it through this fiber art place, and she doesn't call it sip and stitch. She calls it something else, but it's like a sip and stitch. Everybody brings their wine, and we sit and chat and work on our pieces, and that's what you think would be more fun, right?
That's on Zoom.
It's on Zoom, yes.
Okay. I'll get the information from you and I'll put it up on the So What page. So if anybody would like to find you and join you.
I would love that. It's kind of fun. And you don't have to pack up your stuff and schlep it someplace. You're at home. which is
Now,
nice.
do you have any of your Curvilicious stuff handy that you can grab?
So I have Curvilicious.
Cheryl also does this really cool curve stuff with this ruler.
So the only thing that's handy right now is if you look at that border was made with Curvilicious.
I didn't mean to do that to you with no warning.
Oh, that's all right. We're flexible these days, aren't we?
Yeah.
So it makes great borders, and then you can use it to make quilts that look like they're curved piece, but they're not. It's a fusible applique. I'm a raw edge fuser.
So maybe I can do another one if Roxanne gives me back my box of little fabric things.
So I haven't done a Curvilicious Zoom workshop yet. I mean, that might be on the horizon, because I think a lot of people have bought them at shows and have never used them and might like to do a workshop.
Debbie's iPhone there has a picture. I'm going to highlight whoever this is.
Oh, yes.
Curvilicious.
Hey, Debbie Fair.
That's Debbie Fair. Here we go.
So that's
Debbie's
a table runner made with Curvilicious. Oh, it's more than a table runner. Is it a table runner? So you see, these are 2-inch circles. So after you fuse this down, then you make circles and use the holes to place it.
Ooh,
Thank
Cool,
you, Debbie.
huh?
yeah, really cool.
All right, does anybody, Barbara would like to know, so where do you find the rulers? Are you talking the Curvilicious rulers, Barbara?
It's in my Etsy shop also. And Curvilicious also has a website, www.curvilicious.net, which has some free patterns and all the different things you can do with it, and links to YouTube videos showing how to use it. So you can use it in borders, you can make a scalloped edge to your quilt, or you can use it to make the table runner. You can also use it at the bottom of skirts, like for little kids, have a little scallop skirt edge at the skirt. So you can do a lot of stuff with this. It's cool.
Cool. Okay. I enjoyed it because I enjoy your stuff.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Does anybody else have anything?
Should I mention my giveaway or not yet?
No, we wait
yeah,
till the end.
skirts. Ooh,
Yeah.
thanks,
No,
Denise.
we make them stay and
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll wait till the end.
yeah, this way you're not leaving. You're not going to get your stuff and run. You got to wait and listen to all the stuff.
Okay. I have to stay to get my paycheck.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Cheryl. And just in case you hang up before I see you, we will see you tomorrow.
Well, thank you. This is so much fun, Linda. And really, my favorite thing is whether you'll drink it or not.
Yeah, all you people that are just tuning in, you'll find out what that means. And I do need to entertain myself with things. So, our next segment, I'm going to unspotlight Cheryl. Our next segment, we go to Deb, Deb, wait, where's your, did I mute you by accident?
No, I'm not muted.
Okay, so I'm going to give you another chance. Did you run out while Cheryl was talking and get anything important?
No, still got root beer.
All right.
Good.
Just had to remind everybody. So Deb, you're going to tell us, so what is in your bag?
Correct. As many of you know, one of my favorite things to do is to make bags, even though I never change my bag. I use the same one all the time. But I love to sew them. And people sometimes ask me, what do you use as inside your bag? And that will depend on several things. partly depends on the size of the bag I'm making, on what I'm going to use it for. So if it's going to be a tote bag, or is it going to be a bag I want to put on the floor? Do I want it to have stiffness? Do I want it to be floppy? Do I not care? It depends on that. The strength of the bag, how much am I planning to tote in it? And how much quilting am I going to do on it? If I'm going to quilt it closely, I can use a different batting than if I'm not. So what a lot of people, if you're using someone's pattern, a lot of times they'll suggest what to put in it. So these are some of the things that are commonly used. Okay. One thing is fleece. A lot of people use fusible fleece. You can get fleece either with fusible on one side or fusible on both sides. And this would make a bag that's not very sturdy in terms of standing up on its own, but it's soft and light. And you could get some decent stitch definition from it. Something that I've used in the past that makes a nice sturdy bag is something that's like a, this is Craft-Tex Light, which is a heavyweight fusible. It's not as heavy as a Timtex, which really is better for like a basket than for a bag because it's hard to sew and turn.
Where do you get those?
You can buy these in quilt stores, and a lot of the big box stores will carry something, either this or something similar to it. This particular one is a Bosel brand, but there's something like that. You can just go and take a look at it and see and feel it. The Timtex or super heavyweight ones, you can feel that they're very stiff. And I don't think you need quite that much stiffness for a bag unless you're planning to make one with a lot of substance to it. Some people use this, which is an interfacing. It's called Decor Bond, and it's fusible on one side and it's matte on the other side. And it's not that heavy, but when you use a couple layers of it, it can really add a lot of stiffness to your bag. If you're going to make a bag that's like a lunch bag or something that you want to be insulated, you can use something like this, which is an Insul Bright, or Pellon has a version called Insul Fleece. And it's got little fibers, metal fibers in it to help insulate the bag. So it'll keep hot things hot and cold things cold. So you could use it for a casserole carrier or for a lunch bag or something like that. One of the more popular things these days is something like this, which is a foam interfacing. It's actually like a layer of fabric on each side and foam in the center. And I don't know if you can see this, but it has some thickness to it. So this makes your bag very spongy, but it gives it a lot of strength. So it make your bag kind of, you can see that this is really standing up on its own as it is. This particular one, they have Soft and Stable, which is by Annie's product. And I think that comes in white or black. And then other manufacturers make a similar one. Some of them are fusible, some of them are not. So you can use whatever you like. You can also use batting in your bags. And I'll show you some bags that are made with batting. If you quilt it closely, it could be fairly substantial. But if you're going to quilt it lightly, it's going to make a very floppy bag. So Linda, if you could switch over to my camera, I'm going to show you some of the bags that I've made, both my own patterns and other people's.
Look at me go.
Am I muted?
Hang on, not yet. Okay,
Okay, am I muted now?
I gotta
Okay.
mute the other one.
Unmute the other one, you're getting it again, echo.
I gotta find you. Okay,
Okay, no. I'm still getting feedback. Is that better? No.
Nope.
Join, you have to say join without video on one of the devices, not to get feedback. I've learned that much.
Told you we're still learning.
We're all learning.
All right, that better? Okay, there we go. All right, so if you're making something like this, which is one of the little Velcro bags that I showed last week, it doesn't really matter. You can use scraps of whatever you have. I usually use cotton batting, but for this, or something this small and something light, you could use whatever you have. Polyester batting, cotton batting, whatever. Actually, you probably wouldn't want anything that's too heavy for something this small. There's bags like this, which are also small. This one has a zipper in it, and this one is made with foam. So it's fairly, it will fairly stand up pretty well by itself, especially if it's got stuff in it.
That looks like the back of one of my quilts.
I believe it is, because I started making these small bags out of the scraps when you would long arm and have leftover stuff. Then you have a bag like this, which is, pretty, and it has nothing, no interfacing, no foam, no nothing. It just has 2 layers of a home deck fabric. And you can see that it does not stand up at all. So that you got to keep in mind how you want your bag to look when you're done. You got something like this, which is one that I showed last week, and you can kind of maybe see the sparkles a little better here than you could last week when I was trying to show it. And this one has batting in it. It's not quilted all that closely, so again, it does not stand up at all. We've got this bag, which is a tote bag. Let's see if I can even hold this back here.
Yeah, that fabric looks familiar too.
Yep, same deal. Linda's leftover. This was actually a sample for a bag that I made. It's actually a free pattern that's on the Elizabeth Studios site. It's actually for their food festival fabric. So if you ever wanted to make something like this, but this is meant to be a tote bag, and so it doesn't really need to have any substance to it. This is a bag that I made for an art competition, and it's not quilted very closely. I don't know if you can see, the quilting is pretty far apart. So it's really not very substantial. But if you put stuff in it, you probably would be fine. Now, this one has batting in it, but you can see that it stands up because you can see the inside of it. It's quilted pretty closely together. So you can make a bag that's got some weight to it, some substance to it, but you need to quilt it to death, so to speak. This is one of my, okay, can't get close. I need to be a little further away.
There it is. That's the flare bag.
This is my Asian flare bag. There we go. My Asian flare bag. This one is made with Craft Tex and Craft Tex Light, so it's got some weight to it. But the downside of that is you can't really see the quilting. There's not really much stitch definition. You can see where the stitches are, but it doesn't look really that much quilted because there's no depth to it. If you wanted to do something, you could actually do something like that and use a layer of batting on top of it. Now, this is a bag I made for Linda's first fabric collection, Island Vibes.
Can't hear me.
And this one has foam in it. So even though it's pretty big, it does stand up. See if I can tilt this a little bit. Whoops. That's what I do.
Hey, Deb.
It does stand up on its own. And you can also see that it's got some pretty good stitch definition because you can see where these palm trees were quilted. Okay. Sorry, I dropped my camera. This is a bag that
is someone else's pattern. It's called a professional tote. This one has 2 layers of decor bond, which is an interfacing, but it is heavy. It's heavy. It's got some pockets in it, a lot of pockets in it, so it's got a lot of layers of interfacing in it, and it's meant to be like a briefcase. So you need to think about it. And then this last one was one that I taught for a quilt shop, and this is a weekender bag, which has a layer of foam, and the inside, the lining, has decor bond. And this thing needs nothing to stand up by itself. It is a piece of luggage. So you can make things stiffer or lighter by what you put inside your quilt. Any of these bags could have had batting substituted for it if that's what you have. Just know that it will be not quite as stiff or sturdy as it would be if you used one of these other products. Thank you very much. Over to you, Linda.
All right, let me find you and
Switch off there.
cancel. Look at me go.
I'm going to sign back in.
Rita, yeah, I like some of those bags, and Debbie's not back yet. Debbie is doing a virtual workshop on the Asian flare bag. That is okay. Okay. I can't find it when I need it. It's on the Frog Hollow Design Store. It's a 3-hour workshop, and the pattern is included. Oh, whoever is sucking up, I got a message for me that they like my haircut. You're a suck up. You're looking for a door prize. I know that. I'm on it. So what I'm going to talk to you about is, you wait for this. I showed Cheryl stuff. I'm going to talk to you about paper piecing. Now, when I do the New York Beauties, I do use and recommend the foundation paper that I use, and of course I sell it. But you can also use a product that you can buy easily in the stationery store. So my paper stays in the quilt, and it's kind of like it feels like an embroidery stabilizer. You can send it through the printer, but you need to be aware if you do that, because it's kind of gritty, the paper may stick to each other, and it may print out 2 or 3 copies and pages in one shot. Once you do it once and you know your printer, my printer eats the 4th sheet. And it comes out all mangled. I know this, so I will print 3, let it reset, and I'll print another 3, and life is good. But just in case, what you do is you just iron this flat with a dry iron, and you run it back through. You can tear it out. It will rip if you want to do that. That's camera. Okay, it will rip, but you can just leave it in your quilt. If you wash your quilt, it becomes a thin layer of polyester inside the quilt. So that's what I use for my New York Beauties. If you don't have that, no need to fear. You can use vellum. You can see my hand there. If you can see through it, it's much easier than trying to hold up and fold and do all kinds of things. You want to be able to see through it. You can run the vellum through the printer. And if you use this, you do have to tighten your stitch length a little bit so that it will tear. But you don't want to tighten it so much that if you have to rip out, because it does happen from time to time, even to me, I use a rotary cutter to rip out, and you're using a seam ripper or whatever, you don't want to make it so tight that you're going to rip the paper or the fabric. So if I'm using this paper, I don't even change my stitch length at all. I use my default, whatever it's defaulted on. And with this one, I would tighten it maybe 2 or 3 clicks, but I wouldn't make it so minuscule that it's gonna rip. I mean, relax. So, yeah, Grace loves Linda's paper. Yeah, you're a suck up too.
I love you, Linda.
I get everybody. Very good. Yeah, this will go through the printer and you can wash it. So does anybody have any questions on me or Deb? Sure. We're coming down. We still got a little bit of time. So I'm going to tell you. Let me find her. She's not paying attention, so I'm going to surprise her. And I got to unmute her. How do I do that? Deb, unmute Karen.
I can't. I'm not a host anymore.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
I am
You're
to
our,
attention.
you're our guest next week.
Yes. Yes.
And you're going to talk to us about some batiks.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also going to share. I'm not telling them what it is.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Just to give you where I'm coming from. You don't want to miss this. Okay. I have a skill that not everybody else has. Cheryl might know this because I think I was at your guild. I can puke and drive at the same time. Okay. I had an Explorer. Okay. Karen's has a very special skill that tops that. And I have a video of it. I
made the mistake of sharing that video with Linda.
You should have known better.
I know.
You're going to know something really cool about Karen and her super mad skills, but she has some really cool design skills as well. Banyan Batiks is the fabric company that manufactures my batiks that I help design, and we will show you my collection that's coming out in October as well as Cheryl's, and we have different colors and different designs. So Karen will be here, and you can see that she's a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay.
And then the last week of June, here we go. I'm going to cancel Karen. And our last week of June, hi, Barbara Wolf. The last week of June, we have Joyce Hughes. Hi, Joyce.
Ladies, hi.
So what are you going to talk to us about at the end of the month?
Thread painting and using them on panels and using thread painting on raw edge applique with my new book that's coming out.
Yay! I didn't ask Karen, so before I go back to her, I'm going to ask you. So what is in your glass, Joyce?
Mine? Oh,
Yeah.
mine is, it is raspberry lemonade with a little bit of vodka. I'm gradually creeping.
So Joyce got a ding dong. Right. Where is Karen's working? I lost her again.
I'm working too.
I'm working.
I just snuck this in for this afternoon.
There's
It's coffee today, Linda. I know.
Questions? We are some smart people. Love the New York Beauty. Need to take another class. Oh, well, we can tell you about that. Deb has her flare bag, and I am doing the Rock That Quilt Block, the sampler, Royal Ensemble. An electric quilt. Introduction to electric quilt, and a electric quilt beyond what the designers know. So they each have a day, weekday or a weekend choice. So you can pick whichever one you want. Coming in July by popular demand, I will be doing Wicked Wahini, my most popular New York Beauty workshop. So just watch for that on Frog Hollow Designs Facebook page. So we're coming up to door prize time. So, all right, we're gonna let Cheryl, when we do the door prizes, you can randomly, we're gonna ask everybody to see their glass. I see Barbara running away to get her glass. Okay, yeah, we see you. Yeah, we know what you're doing. Okay, randomly click through, and you're gonna pick somebody who's gonna win your door prize. What are you giving away today?
So, where am I? Oh, here I am. So, these are a pair of custom-made tweezers. I have them custom-made overseas. They're great for the mini mosaics. They come with a case. They're psychedelic, but they're also great for pulling paper out of paper piecing when you're not using Linda's, or threads or any other little thing. They're very sharp. So, I do sell them in my Etsy shop, but I'm going to give someone a pair today. So
No,
I get
sure we got to see what's in your glass. Show us your glasses, girls.
We've been down the road. Diet orange soda. Come on, give me the thing. Oh, I'm supposed to look, see what's in their
You're
glass.
supposed to pick. You pick.
Yeah.
Ooh, who's on the iPhone? Okay, Pat, you're my gal. Yes.
At you?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Let me spotlight her.
hey, Pat, you have to email me your address. oivequilts@yahoo.com.
I'll take care of you. Before you do that, what's in your glass? Show me.
I still gotta get the prize, right?
Yes.
Depends what's in that glass. Show me that glass.
Water.
You could have said vodka.
No, you're still gonna get your prize.
Still get your prize.
Where do I send my email to?
Oivequilts, O-Y-V as in Victor, E-Y, quilts @Yahoo.
Oh, I did not get that.
I got it. I wrote it. Now,
You want to look at the chat? Did you put it in the chat?
no, I'll send it to her.
Oh, you know her? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send it to you.
Thank
Mary.
you. I'm
You're
so
welcome.
excited to try the mosaics.
Oh, you'll love the tweezers too. Yeah, you'll have fun.
Cool. Okay. Hey, Cheryl. Quilt Woman is not here today. She had a prior commitment. So would you mind picking someone else for her door prize? If you get the Quilt Woman door prize, you can go on her website. I'll give that to you. And you can choose any of the patterns from Frog Hollow Designs, and she will send it to you.
All right, you got to hold up your glass, ladies.
Not you, Pat. You're done.
Grace, is that White Claw? I'm picking Grace, but you have to unmute yourself. You
White
go,
Claw.
girl. And it matches your.
I haven't had that yet, but there's alcohol in there, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there is.
You get it, ding dong. All right, so you're gonna go on quiltwoman.com. Get so excited with my noises.
Quiltwoman.com.
Quiltwoman.com, and you can choose any of the Frog Hollow Designs patterns, and she will PDF it to you. Okay. Where's Deb? Deb, where are you? There you are. All right.
Okay.
All right. We still got 2 more door prizes. Show them. Rochelle,
Kelly.
we don't see you. We don't see
Kelly.
your glass. Turn
Kelly?
that camera on.
Oh, wait.
Nope.
Kelly. iPad Kelly, it says.
That's me.
Okay, there you go.
Where? Where? I can't find her.
I'm here.
iPad Kelly.
iPad Kelly.
Oh, there you are. There you are. All
It's
right.
me.
Show me.
Tea.
What's in there. We want to see what's in there.
Tea.
Iced tea.
Iced tea.
Is there liquor in it?
Not yet.
Got a double. Make sure we go. Make sure we get your email so we can send you a door prize.
Okay, who do I send my email to?
You can send it to me, Lawn Quilt, LAWNQUILT @AOL.com.
Law, LAWED.
Lawn.
Lawn, yeah.
Lawn.
You guys got to get with the accent. You guys
LAWN.
are Siri.
one.
Lawn. Like mow the lawn.
Quilt at
Yeah, like
AOL.
mow the lawn.
Lawn. Mow the lawn. Quilt.
Oh, lawn.
Yeah.
Lawn. Quilt.
All
You gotta
right.
get with the accent. If I started asking Siri some stuff now, Siri would tell me that's not nice, Linda.
I love it.
Okay. Let's see. All right, show them. Who is this? 541374. We see you. Hello. Let me unmute you. Or unmute yourself.
I did.
Okay. All right. What do you got in your glass?
Wendy's Diet Coke.
Is there anything in it?
Just Diet Coke.
Okay, you guys are bad today. Make sure I get your email.
You
Lawn Quilt, LAWNQUILT @AOL.com. And we'll send you your door prize PDF pattern.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we got everybody. If there's somebody you would like to see, we got some lineups. We actually, Mark Lipinski wants to come on. We got Nancy Mahoney. Who else? We got our June guests. We might have Charlotte and Gotti. So I mean, we got some really cool people coming up. So
How's Mark feeling?
I don't know. He was just emailing. He didn't. We didn't have a dialogue.
Mhm.
We didn't have a dialogue. He just emailed me. If you have somebody you want to see, let us know. And if there's something you want us to review, you can let us know. And I'm gonna review maybe next week. Because the beauty parlors are not doing eyebrows, and mine grew back in. So I'm going to review some eyebrow waxing stuff. 'Cause I'm not going near the bikini trimmer again. You just won't go there. So does anybody have any other questions? Rochelle, yeah, we need to see you for door prizes. But gotcha. You know you're there. So you can see it on YouTube. Tell your friends. And next week, find out about Karen's secret skills. Thank you, Cheryl. You rocked.
Thanks, Linda.
And I'll put all your stuff up.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Cool. Thank you. Stay on Deb. Stay on Cheryl. Stay on Joyce, wherever she is. Yeah. Bye, Karen. I have stuff for you. I got to work for you. There's Joyce. Unmute Joyce. Looks like it should just be Debbie's not muted. All right.
You can end the recording.
Oh, yeah.